A couple of weeks ago, I made a video sharing the pros and cons of publishing through Amazon's KDP Select, and so today, I'm going to give you the opposite side of the argument and share the pros and cons of publishing wide. The wide versus KDP Select debate is very common amongst self-published authors, and it's a very important question that you have to answer for yourself when you're going to self-publish a book. To summarize, for those of you who have not watched my video on KDP Select is a program that Amazon offers where you as an author can choose to publish your book exclusively through Amazon, and they will distribute your book through their Kindle Unlimited program. The incentive for this is to gain access to the Kindle Unlimited program, as many readers do subscribe to Kindle Unlimited and it opens up a new market for you as an indie author, but the downside of it is that you have to be exclusive with Amazon and cannot publish anywhere else. Publishing wide is the term used to describe publishing your book in multiple retailers. So instead of just publishing your book through Amazon, you can also publish your book through Barnes & Noble and Kobo. Note, this only applies to ebooks and not to paperbacks or any print books. The decision of whether to go wide or to enroll in KDP Select is individual for every author and every book. So in this video, I'm going to break down all of the pros, all of the cons, and then offer some things to consider when you make the decision as to whether you want to enroll your book in KDP Select or publish wide. So let's start with the pros. The number one pro to being wide is that you get more options. Instead of just putting all of your eggs in the Amazon basket, you can publish your book through multiple retailers, and this gives you the opportunity to gain followings at multiple major retailers. This is great because different retailers offer different opportunities for promotion. I personally publish my books through KDP Select, so I cannot speak specifically to the different promotional opportunities that are available at the different retailers, but I know from my other author friends who are wide that they exist, and if you learn how to harness them and use them to your advantage, you have an opportunity to create followings at all of the different major distributors, which allows you to build a much wider following of readers, and also allows you to access readers that you wouldn't otherwise be able to access through Amazon. There are many readers who just won't buy books through Amazon. There are many readers who are loyal to Kobo and will only buy books on Kobo. This also allows you to guard against anything ever happening to your Amazon account. If Amazon ever shuts down your account for some reason, you're not going to be completely out of luck because you will have already built followings and presences amongst the different retail options. I personally had Amazon shut down my account for 2 days, and it was one of the most stressful experiences of my entire life because I'd been publishing solely through Amazon, and I do not wish that feeling on my worst enemy. The second pro to publishing wide is that you can sell direct. This is a really cool opportunity that is only available to people that are not exclusive through Amazon, and that is that you can set up your own independent store and sell your ebooks directly through your own website. This is really cool because you don't have to pay any fees to any distributors or retailers. If you're running ads to a book, you can send those readers directly to your own website, collect the full royalty, and manage all of the distribution and pricing control and delivery to your readers. You can sell direct with paperback books, but it presents a host of issues. There are print-on-demand companies that allow you to sell direct through them, but so far, like as I was looking into doing this as of last year, there was not an option that had competitive pricing with Amazon. And so I didn't want to set up a completely different online store and make people pay more for a book through me than they would through Amazon. It just didn't make a whole lot of sense, but that might change. And there may be options that price the printing a lot more competitively, and then it will make more sense for you to set that up through your own online store. But ebooks are really where it's at with selling direct and turning a profit, and you can't do that if you're in KDP Select. Selling direct can be challenging. You have to make sure that you build an audience that trusts your website. I know if I were a first-time customer, getting an ad to a book page on somebody's website, I would be less inclined to purchase that book than I would be on a trusted source like Amazon. But if you're able to have an online store that you constantly send readers to, if you have free stories there, if you have bonus content there, and people start to get to know your store once they've joined your mailing list and they warm up to it, then you'll be able to have a whole host of readers that will pre-order and order your books from your store instead of going through the big channels which is very cool. There are authors who have harnessed this into making a lot of money for themselves, and so that is a very cool thing that we can do as self-published authors that you can only do when you're wide. The third big pro is that you don't need to game the Amazon algorithm. You don't have to rely on Amazon for your primary source of income. Therefore, you are able to publish at your own pace without getting penalized by Amazon's algorithm. Amazon's algorithm typically likes authors that publish more books at a more frequent rate than just one book a year. You can get penalized in the algorithm if you're not publishing on a consistent schedule, but if you're wide, you don't have to worry about that because you publish across all different platforms, and so Amazon is not the one-stop source for your income and publishing success. You can go at your own pace and set your own schedule without getting any penalties from Amazon, which is awesome. And the fourth pro is that BookBub featured deals are easier to get. BookBub featured deals can get tons of readers to your book page and sell a ton of books and make a lot of money for you, but they are very hard to get and they're more likely to be given to authors that are wide instead of exclusive in Amazon, because there are a lot of people in BookBub's network that like to read elsewhere and not only on Amazon. So that all sounds fantastic. But there are also cons to publishing wide. The first, and this is pretty obvious, is that it's much more work. It's hard to learn this many retailers and that many promotion opportunities and keep track of all of the different ways that they function and use them to their fullest potential. I know I personally have a hard time just focusing on Amazon and controlling Amazon. Having to do that across the board is really hard. And if you don't do any of them well, then you're not going to see the rewards from being wide and you're just going to have no traction anywhere, and that would just be sad. Publishing across multiple platforms is not necessarily a guarantee that you are going to get traction in all of those areas, so you need to be good at gaming the different platforms in order to set yourself up for success in finding readers. And then you have to manage things. If you find a typo in your books and you have to re-upload your book, you're going to have to upload it on multiple sites, and that's just going to be an added pain in the butt. Although if you work with retailers like Draft2Digital, you can really just publish through Draft2Digital and to Amazon and then get access to a lot of the different retailers. But no matter how you cut it, it's a lot more work. And it also takes a lot more learning to get really good at. The second big con is that you can't access all of the KU readers. This is not necessarily a problem if you write really niche fiction, but it could be a really big problem if you're trying to break into a genre that is heavily driven by KU readers. Genres like this include romance. Romance is probably the biggest one, but you also have a ton of mystery thriller readers in KU, a lot of sci-fi readers in KU. A good way to go look at the categories and see if you're writing in a category that is dominated by KU or has more books that are published wide is to go on the Amazon website, go to the bestsellers page into the top 100, and go see how many books out of that top 100 have KU written next to them. If it's a lot of them, you're going to find it really difficult publishing wide to out-compete those books that are in KU, because it's a lot easier for books in KU to get ranked on the Amazon stores. Every person who subscribes to KU can download as many books in KU per month as they want to. They pay a monthly fee, and then they have unlimited reading for the month. And every time that somebody downloads that book and borrows it for free, it's counted as a sale, and then that book gets shot up in the rankings because of that. But if you're wide, you only get a sale when people actually fork out the money to buy your book. So you're competing against books that are just getting borrowed for free, whereas if you're wide, you have to sell and actually have people buy the same number of books as people borrow in KU in order to rank the same. So it puts you at a big disadvantage. But again, if you're writing niche fiction, this might not necessarily make a huge difference. The third is that it's much harder to get profitable ads. It's a lot easier to run ads when you are in KU and can get royalties from page reads as well as from books sold. If you only get royalties from the books sold, it's a lot harder to get ads that are going to be paying for themselves and turning a profit. It's a lot easier to convince a KU subscriber to download your book and take a chance on it when they have unlimited access to the library than it is to get a reader who's never heard of you before to pay $5 to get your book in their Kindle. And 4, and this also goes without saying, it's harder to get visibility on Amazon. When you publish wide, you also do publish through Amazon, but Amazon gives priority to titles that are in KU, and so it's harder for you to gain traction on Amazon as a wide author than it is if you are exclusive with Amazon. So with all of that being said, how do you decide whether wide or KU is a better idea for you? First thing that you need to consider are who your readers are. Go to the Amazon Top 100 and look at the top 100 books in the genre that you're writing in. Then try to find out how many are in KU. Usually they'll have a little Kindle Unlimited sticker next to the title, and this makes it easy for you to see. If a ton of books in the category are in KU, then you not being in KU is going to be a disadvantage if you're trying to compete with them on Amazon. But if you see a lot of books that are not in KU in your genre, then go and make sure that not all of them are backed by a major publisher, because that they are inherently going to have an advantage over you if they're backed by a major publisher. And if a bunch of those books are backed by a major publisher, then you being in KU can give you a leg up over the books that are backed by a major publisher. Generally, it's much harder to make it on Amazon if you are wide, but that does not necessarily make or break your success wide. You can be very successful in other platforms and make a lot of money on other platforms. You don't necessarily need Amazon. Another thing you should consider is how important it is to you to have all of your eggs in one basket. From a sense of security, is it going to really stress you out if you've put all of your eggs in the Amazon basket if something ever happens? It can be slower to try and build a readership wide, especially when you're starting from scratch. However, if something were to happen at any of those platforms, you would not be completely reliant on that one platform. It's also why it's really important to build a newsletter no matter how you're publishing. So if something ever happens, you do not lose everything and you still have a readership and a way to directly communicate with them. And the third thing that you need to consider is, are you willing to put in the work to learn all of those platforms and how to make them work for you? You will need to learn things like Kickstarter, email marketing, all of the different platforms, how their promotions work, how to price competitively, and how to build an audience for yourself, which is a lot of work. KU could be best if you're a beginner and just starting out self-publishing, because it will allow you to keep things simpler and just focus on one platform at the beginning before you decide whether you want to go wide or not. And going wide could be better if you already know the industry and have the patience to build a fan base over time using these multiple platforms. Not that that is not possible in KU. You can also build a fan base over time in KU. Some resources that have been very helpful to me in the past as I made my own decision have been the Facebook group Wide for the Win. This is also a book by Mark Leslie Lefevre. It's really helpful and breaks down how to be wide and set up a successful platform if you are choosing to go wide. My favorite author podcast, Six Figure Authors, also made a video on the wide versus KU debate, which I find very helpful, and I will link it in this description of this video if you want to go check it out. But that's it for this video on publishing wide. I hope that it was helpful to you. If you have any questions about it, or if you just want my opinion on your particular situation, I would be happy to answer if you dropped that question in the comments. If you're new to my channel, my name is Claire Fraze, and I'm an award-winning author who has published 5 books on Amazon, which are all in KU. My books are paranormal thrillers, so a little bit more niche, not one of the more traditional mainstream KU genres. And I'd be very happy to speak to my personal experience publishing through KU if you're interested. I made a whole other video on KDP Select and being in KU, so I will also link that in the description. If you have a second, I'd be super grateful if you could like this video and also subscribe to my channel. I'm an award-winning author who makes videos sharing actionable writing tips that helped me make my own writing better, as well as videos about different parts of the self-publishing process. Have you self-published a book? What was the path that you chose to take, and why? I'm sure other people that are watching this video in this community would be interested in hearing your experience. I hope you have a fantastic week, everybody. And as always, happy writing.